Hello, my name is Clint Brugger and I work for Community Action Agency. And I'd like to start off by saying thank you for stopping and taking the opportunity to watch this video. I'm hoping that you find the information to have value, but more importantly that you have a better understanding of why it's so important to participate in the upcoming 2020 census. So to begin, we really have to take a step back in time to maybe your history class or a civics class that you took. And remember that into the Constitution they wrote a required count of the population that needs to take place every 10 years. Well, it just so happens that this is the year that that's going to take place. The framers wrote that into the Constitution for a couple of reasons. The first is that it's our way of making sure that we have our fair representation in government, both in Washington and in Lansing. In the 2010 census, Michigan was one of a handful of states that lost a representative in D.C. And if estimates are true, we're slated to lose another one this time. Now, I think it's important that you understand that there has been a natural decline in population in our state for a couple reasons. One, industries left. The second, we have an all-time low birth rate. So if you just do the math on those, there's a natural decline in population that will take place. But what we don't want is for there to be a decline in population because of people not participating in the 2020 census. The second reason that the framers wrote into the Constitution a required count of the people is to properly allocate state and federal funds. There are more than $15 billion that go to Michigan communities based upon population data. We all pay taxes, and this is our way of making sure that our tax dollars come back to the communities in which we live. These dollars help to fund things like Medicare and Medicaid, school lunches, SNAP, WIC benefits, Head Start, education, school lunches, roads, infrastructure, housing, and much more. It's very important that we do our job in participating in the census to make sure that these dollars come back home. Under current funding figures, Michigan would lose $1,800 per person per year for each individual not counted. If you do the quick math on that, that's $1,800 per year over the course of 10 years. So for every one person not counted, it really equals $18,000 over the course of a decade that doesn't come back to the community in which you live. That's extremely important. If you think that perhaps maybe 5,000 people in any one community aren't counted, that equates to over $90 million of state and federal funds that won't come to that community in which it's supposed to go. There are typically hard to count populations. Those include people of color, immigrants, undocumented individuals, young children. That was the highest population of undercount in the 2010 census, and I'll get to that in a minute. Also, people who are living in poverty and those that are typically served by nonprofits. It's our job to make sure that we're spreading the word of how important it is to participate in the census. I believe that the best way we can do that is neighbor to neighbor, friend to friend, relative to relative. There are many reasons why young children are missed. Oftentimes, children live in extended families. Maybe part of the time they live with mom, and the other part of the time they live with their dad. So when the census comes around, who counts them? Oftentimes, no one. Perhaps you have someone living in your house that isn't a member of your household, but they're staying with you and should be counted somewhere. The rule is, wherever somebody is living on April 1st of 2020, relative or friend, permanent or temporary, they should be counted at that address. So, if your child is with you on April 1st, 2020, make sure you count them in your household. There are some challenges this time around with the census. This is the first time that the Census Bureau has decided to go with an internet-first model. Mind you, I said internet first, not internet only. You can participate by mail or by phone as well. However, the fact that they're choosing to go with internet first means that you're going to be sent an invitation to participate in the mail. My understanding is that invitation to participate is a postcard with the Census Bureau's logo on it. I don't know about you, but oftentimes when I receive a postcard in the mail, it ends up in the trash. I'm hoping that one of the things that you take away from this message today is anything that comes to you by mail in your address with the logo from the Census Bureau on it, you need to keep. It's important. On that postcard, we'll have a code. When you get on the internet to participate, you'll put in your code, and that's how they verify your address. So you need the postcard. There is an opportunity to still participate by mail. That comes down the road after you've received several invitations and reminders in the mail from the Census Bureau. While it's convenient for some to access the internet, for others it's a problem. Many just don't feel comfortable using the internet, or they don't have a device, a computer, a laptop, or a cell phone, or perhaps you don't have broadband internet. If that's the case, then participating by the internet is going to be very challenging. In addition to the challenges of participating by internet, there's also been a 50% reduction in census workers. In the past, you got sent something in the mail. If you didn't complete it, eventually somebody came and knocked on your door. If you weren't home, they came back again and knocked until eventually they found you at home and you were able to be counted. This time around, because of the reduction in census workers, you will not receive multiple door knocks. And when somebody comes, if you're not home, you won't be counted. As mentioned earlier, that decision to not be counted really impacts the community, both in fair representation in government and also at the cost of $18,000 over the course of a decade. In addition to these challenges, I believe that we're at an all-time high for distrust in government. I can tell you with certainty that the framers included the census count into the Constitution as a nonpartisan thing. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. This is how we make sure that we have fair representation in government despite whatever party you may belong to. It's important that you participate because it's the right thing to do. The timeline for response begins in March. So, second week in March, you will likely receive an invitation to participate in mail. That's that postcard that you don't want to throw away. In many areas where internet access isn't available, the Census Bureau will be sending you a paper survey to complete instead of the postcard. Also, it's important to note that they're staggering the delivery. I don't know, remember back to when the Affordable Care Act came into being and they created a website and it crashed, and then it crashed, and then it crashed again. They're planning on enumerating the entire population of the United States using an internet with a program that's never truly been tested. My hope is that it works out well. My guess is that there might be some glitches along the way. So please, if for some reason you try and it fails, try again. Again, there's a lot at stake here, and your participation is extremely important. If you have not responded by the end of April, you can expect that you'll have somebody knocking on your door. If you are an individual that doesn't want somebody from the government coming to your house, the best way that you can prevent that is by participating in the census as soon as you receive something in the mail. That's the only way that you can guarantee that no one from the government will end up on your front steps. In our communities, we've put together what are called complete count committees that are working diligently to make sure that we have a complete count of the population come April. These groups are made up of a broad sector of people from city, local government, municipalities, churches, nonprofits, and many other groups that are really interested in making sure to get the word out there on how important it is that you participate in the census. There's work being done, and we're asking for you to do your part to make sure that we have accurate counts of our population in 2020. What are some things that you can do? Well, I already told you. Tell people. Spread the word. Neighbor to neighbor, friend to friend, relative to relative. Remember the rule. Wherever somebody's living on April 1st, 2020, relative or friend, temporary or permanent, they should be counted at that address. If you are interested in helping out, please don't hesitate to contact me.